Van sat frozen at the restaurant table, her fingers tightening around the edge. As if it could ground her, the soft clinking of cutlery and low murmurs around them faded into nothing, because all cold she see was him, Jungkook's school, now sitting in front of her in a perfectly tailored suit, looking calm, confident, and worst of all speaking. You are still staring, did not expect me, princess. Jungkook said lazily, feeling the her parted, but no words came out. Her heart was racing too fast. Her mind flashed back to every memory she tried to worry him, cornering her in pity always, whispering things that made her weak and her. The way he used to watch her like she was something he already owned. After all people, it's you. She finally managed. Her was barely a voice. Jungkook leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on the table. His eyes locking onto hers with an that made her disappointed. He asked softly, but the teasing edge in his voice did not miss. Van shook her head quickly, but it was not Daniel. It was a this is joke, right? She let out a shaky. My parents will not get it. He cut her off smoothly, and silence fell as a smile. Van throat felt. You agreed to this, Jungkook's meek defend. I did not just agree. I made sure it happened. He said, his voice rough. Her heart skipped. What? She whispered. Jungkook tilted his head, studying her reaction like an entertainment. You really think this is some coincidence? You always been a slow, haven't you? He chuckled under his. Her fingers curled into the fist on the table. There, you are same as before. She snapped quietly. Same? No man, I have changed a lot. Jungkook repeated, amused. He leaned closer, close enough that she could feel his. Jungkook murmured, but one thing didn't change. You, her, each. Her eyes widened. I want you back, and I still do, he said, voice almost a whisper now. And that's not you used to me. She shook her head, rising in her soft laugh escaping. Is that what you thought it was? Her brows furrowed, confusion mixing with her hair. Jungkook gazed dropped briefly to her before returning to her eyes. I was with you, he said simply. The words landed like a shockwave. You avoid me, ignore me, act like I did not exist, he said, his tone losing its teasing edge and turning something heavier. Jungkook's jaw tightened slightly. I don't like a big ignorant pulse in her ear, so you decided to make my life. She whispered, anger creeping in now. Jungkook did not deny. Instead, he leaned back slightly, completely as and it worked, didn't it? You remember me, heard? Rose and fell rapidly. I wish I didn't. That made him smile, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. You are going to marry me, so you might as well stop saying you have a choice, he said calmly, as if stating an unchangeable fact. Her stomach dropped. I do have a choice, she said back, though her voice trembled. Jungkook hung unconvinced. Then say no. The challenge hung in the air. Her parted, but no words came out because deep down she knew her parents, their expectation, the pressure, sure, the consequence. Jungkook watched her closely, reading everything on her face. And then he smiled, so satisfied. Jungkook whispered, exactly, that's what I thought. He picked up his glass again, completely unbothered, while her world crumbled silently in front of him. Don't worry, I'll take very good care of you, Ivy. He added casually. The words sent a chill down her spine, and Jungkook, the salty breeze of her bosom brushed softly against a Vian's face as she sat on the cold marble floor of the balcony, her knees pulled close to her. The ocean stretched endlessly in front of her, calm, peaceful, completely opposite to the storm inside her. The mansion behind her was a grand, almost unreal, tall pillars, wide walls, expensive. Everything seemed luxury, but to her it felt like a cage, a beautiful one. She let out a slow, resting her chin on her pretty, isn't it? Her stiffened instantly, hearing his voice. She did not need to turn around to know who it was. Still, she did. Jungkook stood at the balcony, leaning casually against the frame. His white shirt was slightly unbuttoned at the top. Sleeves were rolled up to his forearms, annoying effortlessly. Wan quickly looked away back at the ocean. It is. Jungkook walked in slowly, his footsteps quiet but heavy enough for her to feel. You have been hiding here for an hour, he said, stopping just a few steps behind her. Avoiding everyone or just me? She stayed silent for a moment before replying. I like a quiet place. A soft chuckle came from behind. Jungkook murmured, you used to that in school too. Her fingers tightened slightly around her dress, and you used to tune those take quiet places. She replied without looking at him. There was a pause, then suddenly he moved closer, too close. One felt his presence right behind her now. Each when he lowered himself, crouching down beside her on the floor, still holding a grudge, he asked, tilting head to catch her face. She finally turned to him, her eyes sharp. You think it's that easy to forget? Jungkook did not look guilty, not even a little. Instead, his gaze softened just slightly. I did not want you to forget, he said. That caught her off guard. What? I want you to remember everything, he continued, his voice slow and steady. Because every time you think of those moments, you'll think of me. Her brows frowned in disbelief. You are a snake target, he is, maybe, but I am the one you are going to spend your life with. He shrugged. One look away again, her tightening. That doesn't mean anything, she whispered. Jungkook's expression just a little. It will, he said quietly. Silence fell between them again, only filled only by a distant round sound of waves crashing. After a moment, one spoke, her voice softer now. One asked, "Why, Busan? You could have just done the wedding in Seoul." Jungkook leaned back slightly, resting his hand behind him on the floor. My grandparents built this mansion. My parents got married here too, and I wanted the same. He glanced at her. One gave a small nod, though her thoughts were elsewhere. One muttered, "You always got what you want, don't you?" Jungkook eyes on her face. Yes, he said without hesitation, her face into a thin line. Before she could react, her phone suddenly buzzed beside her. She quickly picked it up. Jisoo, a small flicker of delight crossed her face as she answered the call. Jisoo, she softly. Jungkook watched her closely, his jaw tightening ever so slightly at the softness in her voice. Yeah, you did not call me after reaching. Jisoo's voice came through slightly loud even from the phone. I was a busy. Ryan replied, briefly glancing at a Jungkook before turning away again. Busy getting married to your Jesus cough. One could not help the tiny smile that appeared. Jungkook noticed and didn't like it. Lower your voice, One whispered quickly. Why? Is he here? Is he there? Jisoo asked immediately. One stayed silent. That was enough of an answer. Jisoo, I, if he say anything to you. The phone was suddenly taken from her hand. One eyes widened. Jungkook. He had already pressed the phone to his ear, his expression calm, but his eyes cold. Be careful with your words, he said inly. Jisoo went quiet for a second. So you are the famous Jungkook, she said tone sharp, and you are the only friend she has. Jungkook replied, glancing at one who was nervous and annoyed. Then treat her right, or you'll what? Jungkook cut in, his voice dropping slightly. The air turned. One stood up quickly. Give it back. Jungkook looked at her for a moment. Jisoo, I'll call you later, she said quickly and hung up. She turned back to Jungkook, frustration clear on her face. You had no right. I have every right. He interrupted calmly. No, you don't. Jungkook stood up slowly, towering over her. I'm your fiance. In a few days, your husband, Jungkook said. Each word felt heavier than the last. That gave me more right than anyone. One clenched her face. I'm not something you can control. Jungkook stayed closer, close enough to make her step back, but she hit the balcony railing. It trapped.